Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Fatherless Sons. My name is LaShawn Wiley, and I am your host, and this is episode 119. On today's episode, we are going to cover under building your empire, 5 things to avoid when buying a home. Under couch time, we'll be talking a little bit about not going all the way YOLO, and stick around towards the end so that I can reveal today's episode's fatherless and famous. Stick around to the end for that. All right, so let's dive right into it. We're going to cover under building your empire, 5 things to avoid when buying a home. Number 1, depending on your real estate agent a little too much. So when you first team up with an agent, they're going to ask you to sign a little contract that's 3 to 6 months, which is normal, and they're going to be responsible for looking for a home for you. But you don't want to just rely on them to look for a home. They're going to look for a home. You're going to tell them exactly what you're looking for, and they work for you. So their job is to go out there and look for it and find it and bring you potentials that you can go check out. But you want to also look yourself. Don't just rely on them to look for the home. You want to look for it yourself. And when they bring you stuff back, if they bring you garbage, throw it to the side, say, nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Because sometimes agents will bring you too much house. If you say you're looking for a $200,000 house, before you know it, they're bringing you $249,000, $239,000. And you clearly say, that's not what I'm looking for. Remember, their commission, which can be anywhere from 5 to 6%, is going to be tied to the price of the home. So don't let an agent push you around because they work for you. Okay. You tell them what you need. You look in the background, and if you find something that really meets your standard, you can say to the agent, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I found a place, set up a viewing so I can go look at this place. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, the second thing you want to avoid is not having a pre-qual letter before you start looking for a home. Because first of all, let's talk about what a pre-qual letter is. It's a pre-qualification letter that shows how much you're pre-qualified on a home. They're going to make sure that you have the basic qualifications to get a mortgage. All right. They just want to make sure that you're not wasting your time and wasting their time. If everything looks to be in order on the surface, they're going to give you a pre-qual letter saying that you are pre-qualified for X amount of dollars. Let's just say it's $300,000. Okay. So you're going to take that letter, and when you submit an offer, you're going to use that letter or put that letter with your offer to show the buyers that you have a pre-qual letter and the ability to get a mortgage to purchase this home. If you don't get that letter and you see a home that you really like, and then you tell your agent to put an offer and they receive the offer, but then they slam back on you saying, make sure you have a pre-qual letter when you make the offer because you made the offer without the letter. You just wasted valuable days, if not weeks, because now you have to go get a pre-qual letter before they accept the offer. And let's say you really like the home. Well, by the time you do all of that, the home is going to be gone. So you want to have that already out of the way so that you're not wasting your time and you don't lose the house, the pretty house that it took you weeks to find. And now you're going to lose it because you don't have the pre-qual letter that the seller is requiring in order for you to put a bid on the home. Number 3 is buying too much home. You want to avoid buying too much home. And this is a common mistake made by first-time homeowners. And what they do is, number 1, they're influenced by their agent. We already talked about that. So let's just say that that's not even on the table, that they're not going to be influenced by their agent. The other problem is they're influenced by spouses and themselves, because you're thinking to yourself, I want the best, perfect house that I can live in for the rest of my life and be happily ever after, even if it costs way more than I can afford. Don't do this. This would be a big mistake. If you end up buying too much home, you're going to regret it, because 9 times out of 10, when you buy your first home, you're not going to stay in that home for 30 years. Sorry to be the one to break the news to you, but you're going to end up moving probably after 5, 10, 15 years. I don't even think you'll get to 15 years. Most people buy their first home and they end up upgrading, going to a different neighborhood, getting a job in a different state. They end up selling the home and moving after 5 to 10 years. This is very common. So when you buy your first home, don't think to yourself you're going to buy your forever home. A lot of times I would tell people, buy your first home as a starter home that you're going to end up renting out. You're not going to sell it. You're going to find a really good price and you're going to rent it out. It's not going to be your forever home, so don't spend all of your money. 1/3 of your household income should be spent on the home. As far as like what your note is going to look like. If your note is more than 1/3 of your income, you and your spouses or whoever you live with, if you're by yourself, then do the math on your own salary. But if it exceeds 1/3 of your income, then you'll find yourself in trouble. You're probably buying too much home. It can be a little bit more, but that also depends on how much other debt you have. Because if you're spending a lot of money on a car note and insurance, and you're spending a lot of money on these memberships that you have every month, and now you want to add on top of that a third going to your home, you might end up being 60% DTI, debt to income. So it all depends on your own situation. Just make sure you put yourself in an optimal situation. Okay, let's go to number 4. So hopefully by now you found a home. It's not too much home. It's not a forever home. It's just a starter home that you are at peace with, you're comfortable with. You got your pre-qual letter and it's time to make your offer. Now, when you are new to buying a house, this is where you get cold feet. So my number 4 thing to avoid is moving too slow with your offer. In a very competitive environment like we are in right now, where inventory is very low, you have to be lightning fast. You have to be lightning fast when it comes to putting in your offer. Do not dilly-dally. Do not waste time. Someone that I was helping look for a home kind of did dilly-dallied and wasted time. And before you know it, 2 days later, the house was under contract with someone else. You cannot waste any time. You see a home that you like. You tell your agent, after you speak with your spouse that you want to make an offer, you tell your agent, put an offer on this house, start putting it together right now. Price is the first thing that the seller is going to look at. The next thing they're going to look at is terms. If you can give favorable terms and favorable price, then you have a chance of winning the bid. If you're lacking on one or the other, then make it up on the other. It can get really complicated on different ways to stack your offer. Talk to your agent, and your agent is supposed to be able to also help you understand how competitive things are and give you some advice on how to dress your offer up and make your offer look as attractive as possible, so that the seller can see your offer and say, this looks like a good offer. I think I'll take it. You have to make it look good. All right. So your agent, that's what your agent is there for. Have your agent help you put it together. Okay. So the last thing that I want you to avoid when searching and purchasing your first home is avoid looking for perfection. Okay. And new homeowners that are shopping around, they look at the wrong things all the time. They look at superficial things. So they'll walk into a home and they'll say something like, I don't like the color of the rugs, or I don't like the color of the countertops, or I don't like the color of the paint in the kitchen. None of that matters. It simply does not matter, because you can change paint. You can change the rug, pull it up and put a floor tile down. You can do those things and it really wouldn't cost a whole lot of money. There are some things that will cost a lot of money, like the HVAC, for example. If the HVAC is on this last, and the heater that was putting out your heater and cooling in the home, if it's on this last leg, that is more of a real problem, because it can be very expensive to replace that unit. Or look at something like the water heater. If the water heater has rust at the bottom and it looked like it's on its last leg, that is a problem. Be more concerned about that, because those are the things that's going to cost you some money. Look at the roof. If the roof look like it's on its last leg and the shingles are torn and tattered and ripped, and that's like a leak in your roof waiting to happen. Or you have to replace the entire roof because it just expired. It's time for it to be changed. You're talking about a $10,000 to $15,000 job. That can be a whole lot more of a problem, opposed to what the carpet looks like, what the paint on the wall looks like. Do not look at the wrong things. Now, here's something on the flip side to be worried about. If you walk into a home and everything on the inside looks perfect, looks pristine, they staged the house to look really nice. And what I mean by staged is they put furniture in there, they put decorations, they put signs and pictures, paintings and all that stuff inside of the place. It looks wonderful. Then you walk in, you say, oh my God, everything looks great. The curb appeal looks great. The lawn is manicured. I love this home. but you avoid looking at the water heater. You avoid looking at the HVAC. You avoid looking at the roof. You avoid looking at the things that you really should be looking like. Like when you go inside of the basement, if it has a basement, look at the foundation. Look at how strong the beams are that's supporting the home. If you have a beam that has a crack in it, for example, or if you have floor joists that you can see from the basement that has cracks in it, or they have little lolly jacks, what's called a lolly jack. It's like a support that supports the home inside the basement that you can put up when the floor is weak in some areas, or floor joist is cracking and splitting. They'll put up lolly jacks to support the home. If you see lolly jacks all over the place in the basement, that's a problem. If you see cracks in the floor joist, that's a problem. If you see cracks in the wall in the basement, you might have some foundation issues. If there's moisture in the basement, you might have water getting into the basement, which is also a problem. So you got to know what you should be looking at and what you should be paying attention to, and ignore the superficial crap. So those are the 5 things that you want to avoid. I'm going to run through them real quick. The first thing is depending on your agent too much. Avoid doing that. Number 2 is not having your pre-qual letter already in hand, ready to go. Number 3 is buying too much house. Do not spend too much money on your first home. Number 4 is moving too slow with that offer. Do not waste time. Do not dilly-dally. And number 5, do not look for perfection when you're buying a home. Look for the right things to avoid, and look past the superficial crap that really doesn't matter. So those are the 5 things you want to avoid when purchasing your home. Now let's jump right into couch time. In today's couch time, like I said in the intro, I want to focus on YOLO. YOLO is you only live once, and not going hardcore all the way YOLO. But I will say you should enjoy life. All right. Make time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, but you don't want to go into super debt, spending money on crap that's not going to make you money. And there's a saying that says, keeping up with the Joneses. You don't want to spend a whole lot of money just trying to keep up with your neighbor and buy the things that you see them buy. You don't know their situation, and don't try to focus on them. Focus on you. So what I tell people is you get your cash flow together. You get yourself a money press, something that's going to produce and generate money for you. And if you don't have that yet, you shouldn't be spending money on anything. It shouldn't be a YOLO situation. But when you do have a money press that's generating income, you want to not touch anything that's going to affect your money press. And you're going to use that income to pay your bills. Now, if all your bills are paid from the money that you're generating from your money press, you should have some money left over. Use that money that you have left over to treat yourself, to spend time with your family, to spend time with your friends. Treat your friends and family. Have fun and enjoy life, because life is too short not to enjoy the time that you have. So you do want to live like you only live once, but you don't want to just go all the way overboard. What do I mean by overboard? I'm talking about spending your principal, spending money that's meant for your money press, or spending money before you have a money press. If you don't have a money press, you shouldn't be spending anything. You should be saving your money to buy your money press. If your first money press is going to cost you $100,000, you should be saving up $100,000. But once you get that money press, and if it's spitting out, $5,000 a month, and your bills are $3,000, you got $2,000 of cash flow, then you should be using your cash flow, a piece of it, to enjoy life. Don't forget to enjoy life, because what's the point of building your empire if you don't enjoy it? Enjoy life with your family and friends. So now let's jump into our final segment, which is Fatherless and Famous. This is where I like to highlight a famous or not so famous person who grew up without a father figure in a household. So if you know someone like that, or someone close to you, or even yourself, you have a story you want to share, leave it in the comments, because I might choose to highlight your story on Fatherless and Famous. So the person I want to recognize for today's episode, Fatherless and Famous, is Justin Bieber. And I did not know Justin grew up without a father figure in a home. Now, his father name was Jeremy, and his mother name is Patty. And Jeremy and Patty were high school sweethearts. Well, I don't know if you want to really call them high school sweethearts. They were dating in high school, and she ended up getting pregnant. and she was 16 when she got pregnant. That's tough, when you get pregnant that young at such a young age. And Jeremy wasn't really ready to be a dad. He was 17 years old and in high school doing his thing, right? Like high schoolers do. But he was actually considered more of a bad boy because he was kind of getting in trouble. Like when Justin was born, he was in jail, from fighting. So he wasn't ready to be a dad. He was still like getting in trouble and living a crazy life, like what you would expect, from some 17-year-olds, kind of, you know, still trying to figure out who they are. So Patty and Jeremy were on and off, kind of boyfriend girlfriend, a volatile relationship like youngsters do, right? So that kind of left Patty a little bit by herself. By the time Justin was born, like I said, his dad Jeremy was in jail, and Patty had to rely more on her mom Diane to help out. So when little Justin was born, she ended up really, spending a lot of time with her mom, helping her out, like you would expect. And mom was like the rock who kind of stepped in and made sure that, diapers were available and that the baby was being, properly taken care of. Now Jeremy did re-enter the picture after Justin made it big. Now, Justin's mom did kind of get things together where she was able to get a job and kind of floating around, bouncing around, helping Justin go to his YouTube auditions while he was still trying to get a name for himself. So she was driving him around, supporting him in that way. And eventually he became a superstar and blew up. And at the age of around 15 or so, when he's already on TV, dad kind of comes back into the picture. How often do we hear that happen where dad sees the child blow up and all of a sudden who's knocking at the door? When the child blows up and the father comes back in the picture, that really rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it would be hard for me to be like, okay, no problem, come back in. Now, Justin actually let his dad back in and they patched things up. And by the time he was 16, 17 years old, they were, seen taking pictures together. So, hey, Justin, you were bigger than me on that because I don't know if I would have done that. Now, when Justin was 18, he started paying for his mom's rent at a mansion that she rented in LA. And this is, the rent on this was $8,000 a month. So instead of actually buying her a home, he just picked up her note, her rent, and started paying that off. And he actually, at the age of 19, bought his dad a house. What he paid for his dad's house was $850,000 paid in cash outright. And his dad didn't ask him for it. He just wanted his dad and the siblings to have a safe place to live and a comfortable place to live in. So he sprung for $850,000 cash. Once again, Justin, good job. I mean, bigger than me, dude. You're bigger than me. I don't know if I would have done it. I really hold a grudge. That's just me. Justin has a kid himself, 19-month-old Jack. And I'm sure Justin is going to be a great dad. I've seen some pictures of them together. They look great, by the way. And I'm sure Justin's going to be in Jack's life a little bit more consistent than what his dad was. That's one of the positive side effects that I am consistently seeing in the people that I profile is when they have kids themselves, they make sure that they're not creating a fatherless environment themselves, that they are doing it better. So that is a great thing that I am seeing that consistently. So yeah, little Jack and Justin, I think, are doing fine. And let's touch on the last thing, which is net worth. I like to focus on the net worth of the fatherless and famous, especially if they're public figures. And Justin's net worth is $200 million. Some say it's even higher than that, possibly $350 million. That's a pretty penny, $200 million. I'll be okay with that. Thanks a lot for joining, and go ahead and subscribe and thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining. Until next time, see you later.